guys, welcome back to my dog's YouTube channel. Welcome back to my YouTube channel featuring my dog. Today I'm having a lazy day and I don't really feel like doing a whole lot, but I decided I should film a video. It's so lazy that I'm not even putting on makeup. I put on some eyebrows. It's because I have no eyebrows, but like that's it. And I'm sorry that you get to see me like this, but sometimes I just really don't want to do my makeup and this is what you get. Also, like promise, better audio, so that's nice. So I'm just going to be taking you on a tour of my plants today. Some of them are thriving, super happy. I just cut a bunch up in my last video. So you'll see the result of those plants. They haven't started growing again, but all the propagations are doing really well. So I'll be showing you guys those as well. So yeah, not all of my plants are super happy, but that's just the reality of having plants. Sometimes not all of them are always super happy. That's what's happening in today's video. Just a nice little plant tour, and my dog is probably going to be following me around because, you know, that's what dogs do. My first plant actually was right beside me. It is this Monstera elbow, but the story with this plant is I actually totally got scammed on it, which really sucks. I got it from a girl who lives like 10 minutes from me, and she sold it to me as a mature leaf, which I was like, yeah, okay, definitely. But all of this was covered with dirt, and I was stupid and I trusted her. There's no growth points left. Like, she used all of them. So this leaf is just going to die eventually, and it's already started to yellow. And it really sucks because she still charged me $180 for this scam of a Monstera elbow. I messaged her about it and she didn't care. She's also a pretty big plant person. I could tell by her other listings, so she knew what she was doing, which really sucks. Don't scam people. Like, that's not cool. So watch out for that, because people sometimes really suck and they just want your money. They don't care about your plants. I have just this super regular aloe. I've had it for probably almost 2 years actually. It's pretty happy in this spot. It's always been a little droopy off to one side. I'm not really sure why. It's just heavy on the one side. It's growing pretty well. There's some new growth in there. And it's pretty happy. Next, there is a Raphidophora tetrasperma, which I love to say. I did cut this plant up in my propagation video, so it's not doing a whole lot right now. I did say in that video that I was going to make it, like, train it to grow up. As you can see, I have not started doing that yet. So once my boyfriend and I redo this room, I'm going to be moving this whole plant stand and having this grow up this wall, I think will look really cool. We just haven't gotten around to doing it yet because, you know, life is super expensive right now. So next is my Syngonium elbow. It does have some elbow left on it, but I did cut it up. That's all the elbow that's left. See if you can see that on this plant at the moment. And this leaf came out super wonky. I'm not really sure why. Yeah, once I repot the other leaves, the propagations, this plant will be more full and there'll be more elbow. I'm hoping that it will grow some more elbow leaves since there is like a speck still. If not, it's still like a really pretty plant, just dark green. I still like it. This next plant is my philodendron micans. I also cut this plant up in my last video. It's doing fine. I don't believe it has started to grow from the places I cut, if I can even find those places. It does have lots of new growth coming in. I don't even know where I cut it, honestly. Maybe right there? I don't think I did that cut. I don't know. But yeah, it's happy, it's thriving, it's liking life. Happy plant. This next plant is a Hoya pubialic blush. I don't know how to say it, but it's pretty large. I bought it pretty large, and I've actually cut the vines, like the runner vines, off a couple times, that you can see here, just because sometimes they go crazy and then they don't grow leaves for a very long time and I get impatient and I just cut them off and they grow more. Like I did that here and it just grew a new growth point. I do it quite often actually. But yeah, it's still large and in charge. It is definitely by far my biggest Hoya. Like, look how big that is. It's huge. It's massive. It's touching the ceiling. All of this is new growth. This whole vine is new growth since putting it in this spot. So I think it's happy here, even though it doesn't get a ton of light. Are you bored and chewing the rug because you want some attention? I think so. I have this little setup of air plants. I forget to water them all the time. Actually, look at that. Is that a flower starting in this? I'm honestly not sure, but I do know it needs to be watered. Whenever this one wants to be watered, it gets curly like this. I have lost one air plant, but that's because in the winter we have a wood stove and it just sucks all the humidity out of the air. It didn't like it. It killed my big air plant. This one has a little baby growing off of it, which is really cool. And my little crystal quartz, clear quartz holder. I just think it's really pretty. Making my way over to the other side, I have my philodendron heart leaf, which I also cut up in my previous video. I also entangled it, but it's not growing yet, but it has a ton of growth points just all over the place, like all over the place. So that's really exciting. I noticed that today, that there was growth points all over. I don't love how thin this plant is, so I actually do like to tangle it up a bit and it looks fuller that way. It would be cool to have this climbing on the wall too, but I'm not sure if my boyfriend would be down. So I haven't done it. I also have this big pothos, just this golden pothos. I had it outside. It wasn't loving it. See, some of the leaves got burned, a lot of them actually. So I brought it back inside and it seems to be doing happier, but like look at all the damage on the leaves. It's just the reality of having plants and trying things. This plant is huge though. Like the size of some of these leaves, it's just huge. It needs a good cleaning, it needs to be watered, but I do think it'll be much happier being back inside because it was really happy in the spot before I decided to throw it outside like a super rude person. I thought it might be okay because where I put it was underneath of a tree, which gets a ton of shade for most of the day. It only gets about an hour of actual sunlight, but it was still too bright for it after being used to this dark spot that I have it in. This is exactly where I was before. So behind me is my super messy table, but my boyfriend made this table and it's really cool. Hi cat. But it has a lot of stuff on it. My house is honestly a disaster right now. Don't mind it. I've been busy. My boyfriend hurt himself and we just got back from vacation and went right back to work. This is the philodendron red emerald that I cut up in my last video. It's not growing from where I cut it. I cut it right there. I cut it here and there earlier and it's growing back. I still haven't mounted it on a better pole for it to grow bigger leaves, but I will because I'm going to do a plant chores video in the future and that's going to make me do the things that I'm saying I'm going to do because I procrastinate. It's just in my blood, okay? This plant is a philodendron verrucosum. I got it in the mail literally right before we left to go up north. Yes, you can tell it got damaged in the mail, but my goal with this plant was to cut it up anyways and propagate it for my shop. So it doesn't really matter that much that this leaf is damaged. I'm just gonna chop it up and throw this leaf out. And this little growth point, like what is that? That's pathetic. So this plant needs some TLC since I got it in the mail. It's not doing too hot. Forget where I got it from, but I'm probably not gonna order from there again because all the plants came in looking less than ideal. But it is what it is. This was just gonna be a plant that I chop up anyways, just to propagate and sell in my shop. So it'll be looking better once I cut it up and propagate all of the good parts of it. This is my ficus elastica. It's pretty large. I need to figure out how to make it branch because it right now it's just like one big long trunk. I mean, I've only ever lost one leaf on it right there. So that's awesome, especially because like this plant gets knocked over all the time. These leaves come out looking like this is the newest leaf. It's not hardened off yet. This one's not even completely hardened off yet. They come in so thin and light in color. It's cool. It was one of my first plants too. My first plants ever were 5 or 6 succulents. I killed all of them. And then this one with 4 others were my first like greenery plant, foliage plant. And I still have a few of them. I sold some others, but I still really like this one. So I've kept it. I have this shelf. These are some of my favorite plants. I'm gonna start at the bottom. So this is my Pothos Enjoy. I ordered it with that verrucosum just to cut it up and propagate it for my shop as well. Smaller smaller than I was expecting it to be. So I'm gonna wait for it to grow, but it's growing really fast for a brand new plant. Like I'm pretty sure this is a new leaf since being here in 2 weeks, and this is a new one. This is a new one. And I actually just put it in like a good spot to grow today. It was in my kitchen, which gets almost no light. This is another plant that I ordered just to cut up propagations. It is a philodendron silver sword. It also doesn't look too hot. None of the plants I ordered from that shop look very good. Like, look at that bottom leaf. That looks weird. Like the silver just kind of like melted off. I don't know, it's weird. But I'm gonna cut it up eventually too and just propagate the good parts. They are a pretty cool plant when they're big and like when they look good, but this one looks not ideal. Next is one of my favorites. I actually just had to do a huge rescue of this plant, but this is a philodendron Gloriosum. When I bought this plant, it was planted down and it started to rot. I bought it from just like Facebook Marketplace, and the girl obviously didn't plant it right. And right here, this was like way bigger before, and the roots were back before this, and it started to rot in the moss that it was planted in. So I had to quickly, as fast as I could, root it in another spot so I could chop that off without taking all of the roots. It is rooted now and is growing properly, but I also had to chop off some of the leaves because they were growing like the plant was growing upright, not being a crawler, but it's doing pretty good now. This is the leaf that it put out while it was recovering, like while I was trying to rehab it. So it looks a little weird, but all in all, it's doing okay now. You can see some roots in there. This is just a pothos cutting. It's just a really big leaf and I wanted to make sure that I saved it. This is my anthurium magnificum. When I bought it, it was a beautiful big leaf. It was my very first anthurium ever, and I killed that leaf. I think something also attacked it, like the growth point from when I was growing it in my apartment. I'm not sure what it was, but then I got some beneficial mites and it seemed to do the trick, and then it put out this leaf. In my apartment, in my house, sorry, it's put out this leaf, which is teensy tiny, and that's all it's done. It put this out in the winter, so I think that's why it's so small, because it gets cold in my house in the winter. But this summer, it hasn't done anything. I just put some more moss over it because I know they like really humid, and I do believe it's putting out right there, if you can see it, another little growth point. So this is my pitcher plant that currently has no pictures. I'm not sure why it's not growing pictures. I really don't know. It's growing a second plant in it, so that's cool. It did have pictures, and then one time after night shift, I decided to cut off a picture that was like shriveling away kind of like this, and I cut off the wrong picture, and I was like, no, stop cutting plants after night shift when you're not really awake, Catherine. Like, that's super not ideal. And then when I moved here, it went into shock a little bit and dropped another picture, and now it's just not growing any pictures, like at all. It's grown like little excuses of pictures, and the one back there too, if I can make it, yeah, focus on that. But like, that's not a real picture. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong with this plant. I definitely could water it more often. That's probably honestly it. I just don't water it enough, but I get very distracted and procrastinate, and sometimes I'm just like in a mood to not take care of my plants, and it's not ideal. So this is a Hoya. I have no idea what kind of Hoya it is. I was on a little bit of a Hoya kick last year, and I bought this Hoya and that Hoya, but I do not remember what they are. This is actually like just starting to grow. It has been these 3 leaves forever, and now it's put out this one, and those 2 recently, like honestly in the last like week or 2, because like these were not here before I went on my trip. Same with this guy. It also hasn't grown much for me, but it's just started to, maybe because the humidity is insane in here and it's also a good temperature. This little plant back here is my spider plant that my cat eats every single time I bring it down to water it. Super annoying. It did used to actually be a decent size, but as you can see by the ends, my cat always eats it. I put it down and then she just freaking goes to town, and I don't notice until after she's almost eaten the whole entire thing. I'm trying to keep it away from her now plant because I actually do really want a nice big spider plant. Over here I have my mounted staghorn fern, which was my very first video. I do have to water it. It dries out pretty fast like this, but they do like to completely dry out in between waterings. But yeah, it's still up there. It's doing good. It's fine. This is my own philodendron verrucosum. I have to extend its little moss pole that I made for it when I first got it. I got this one shipped to me as well, and it's growing really well. Like, I bought it with this leaf, and I think a leaf that died when I first got it. And since getting it, it has sized up considerably. And this is its newest leaf, which is gorgeous. It's putting out another one right there. Its petioles are getting hairy, so it is slowly maturing. Here's my philodendron splendid. Kind of the same deal. It's already outgrown the little pole that I made for it when I first got it. I got them from the same seller, and their plants are gorgeous. I really, really like them. This plant puts out growth so fast. It puts out new leaves so quickly. I don't even know it's growing new leaves sometimes. Like, it's crazy. Definitely my fastest growing plants are these two. I'll link where I got these plants from because I actually really, really like this seller. They sell really nice plants and they all came to me really nicely. My big micans actually came from the same person, and it's great. Like, I love all the plants that I got from this shop. Next is my big boy or girl, whatever you want to call it, I don't care. It is my anthurium crystallinum. I actually bought this plant for $30. It was for a charity. She was donating all the money to a charity, which I loved. Plus, it's a gorgeous plant and I really like it. So I was like, heck yeah, I will take it. Thank you. She was selling quite a few. When I bought it, it had this leaf, and this leaf. So this big one, this one. This is the newest one that's currently still growing in. Same with this one. They're all from my care. This leaf was stuck. I tried to help it and I ripped it. So I was like, don't do that, Catherine, you know better. But it even has more growth points in there. This is a pretty well-established plant, so it's able to put off more than one growth point at a time, more than one leaf at a time. I love this plant. I think it is so gorgeous. This one has some really nice root. I love looking at the roots, just interests me. This is my little greenhouse cabinet, another Hoya that I do not remember the name of. I got it back when I was on a Hoya kick. It had thrips, but I don't think it has them anymore, and it is growing. Here is my Peperomia Hope. It's also had thrips. I believe they're gone and it's starting to grow again. Here is my, this is my Cebu Blue that I cut up in my propagations video. I probably have to water. I forget it's there often because I can't really see it. And my string of hearts, which is crazy long. It even has flowers and like seed pods. Look how long this thing is. It's literally on the floor. I don't know why it's so happy because I honestly don't take that good care of it. Like, I neglect it quite a bit, like I do with everything in my life. But look, it has flowers. So whatever it's doing, it's liking it. I need to cut it up though and propagate because like it's not very full at the top, but at the bottom it gets very full because it's just loving life beside this cabinet. So here's some Cebu Blue cuttings that I did in my last video. I don't think they're rooting yet. Doesn't look like it. I do see a growth point on that little chunk there, but I'm just gonna leave them alone. These guys are actually doing okay. I see some growth points. I think some are philodendron heartleaf and some are philodendron micans. I'm pretty sure that one looks like it might be a Cebu Blue. Here I just have a ton of philodendron heartleaf. They are actually rooting. They need some more water. They're growing some roots. I see some roots in there. Oh, there's a big root over there. It's a little aloe that I got from my friend. And then I have some more philodendron heartleaf and some sphagnum moss, some more cuttings from my last video, and then that big chunk from a philodendron red emeralds. Doesn't look like it's doing a whole lot yet. It's only been a couple weeks since I put all of these in here. Seeing any growth is just, at this point, is just a bonus. Here's a Pilea peperomioides that I got from the same friend that I got the aloe from. Here's some philodendron micans mixed with some heartleaf from my last video as well. It's kind of hard to see if there's any roots in there because it's so packed in. Let's see if we can see any. Oh, looks like it. Oh yeah, there's definitely some roots in there. Sweet. That's the plant that I chopped up. The little micans that I keep chopping up. Sorry, little micans. Raphidophora tetrasperma that I cut up. There is roots starting in here, like quite a bit, which is super exciting. It's rooting really, really easily and really fast. Here's some philodendron red emeralds. These are the cuttings that I did in the video, and these are from probably, I don't know, a month and a half ago. Like, they're so rooted that they're growing new leaves on new leaves. So like, that's really cool. These ones are starting to root in the water. It's really fast. It's only been 2 weeks. Like, they're rooting really, really fast. Here's my Syngonium elbow that I cut up. I have hope for it because this is a new leaf that it's grown in the water, and it's super, super variegated. This one's a little bleached from the grow lights, but that's okay. And it's definitely rooted enough. The water needs to be changed, the roots need to be cleaned, and then it can be potted up back into its mother plant. I love that leaf though. It's like almost a half moon leaf, and I just think it is gorgeous. Here's my typical ZZ plant, hiding a little bit behind the TV. Pretty large and in charge. Put out a bunch of new growth in the winter. ZZs are super, super easy care, low light, forgiving plants. Highly recommend if you are a neglectful plant parent like I am. These flowers I got from my friend who was watching my house. I came home to cookies and some flowers because the ones that my boyfriend got me, they were just like fresh cut. These ones actually are planted. How sweet is that? She just bought us new flowers. Like, what a sweetie she is. They're beautiful, like they're gorgeous. My cat, my most expensive plant. No, just kidding. You are my most expensive plant. Here is my Scindapsus trubii, I believe. These leaves are pretty cool. It wasn't doing a whole lot until this spring, and I potted it in like a nice chunky mix, like a super chunky mix. I was pretty happy. This is my huge snake plant, which definitely needs to be watered. You can tell by how like droopy it is. Oh yeah, it needs to be watered like real bad. But it's putting out new growth. The first new growth since I've had it actually, and I've had it for actually I think a year. It's just in this corner and it's putting out new growth. So it goes to show that these plants are really fine with low light. Here are some of my golden pothos that I cut from big mother plant. Doing fine and dandy. Here is a huge Monstera. Oh, you're growing through your leaf. No, 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 let's not do that. I just got this plant maybe 2 weeks ago. It's put out some new leaves. It's growing real quick. This was a new leaf that was unfurling when I bought it. It's massive, and I love the inner fenestrations. That's like why I got it. I had a plant probably this size in my apartment, but it's so big, I just didn't want to move it, so I just gave it away for free. These plants are worth honestly like pennies these days. I got this whole thing for 40 bucks 2 weeks ago. Insane. This is my Scindapsus exotica. I love it. I think it is gorgeous. I got this from, they were like 3 or 4 single leaf cuttings. I potted them all up together. They were giving me like kind of like a little piddly growth, and then I propagated, like I cut up the plant a little bit. See right there, I cut it up in a few places, but the new growth is way bigger. I gave it to the friend that gave me the 2 plants. We did a little swap-a-roo. She was over and said that she liked this plant. She thought it was really pretty, so I offered her some cuttings, rooted them for her, potted them up, and she gave me a couple plants in return. I love friends like that. They are the best. I love this plant. I think it's so pretty. Like, look how big these leaves are. It's like almost as big as my hand. Here is a plant that I honestly neglect so much, but it hasn't died. It was also one of my first plants. It's happy, very happy, even though I have neglected it like no tomorrow. Here's my orchid that I got from my boyfriend's mom. It is very happy right now. It's blooming like crazy. Supposed to see my garden in the background. Look at all those blooms. Even when I got it from my boyfriend's mom, sorry, who got it from wherever she got it, some store. Someone gave it to her from a store. It didn't even have this many blooms on it. Like, it's blooming like crazy. It's another plant that I got from my boyfriend's mom. She knows I like plants, so she buys me plants sometimes. This one's really cool because it gets these pretty flowers. It's the same plant. I'm not religious at all, but it's the same plant that they put on Jesus's head. It has the thorns, that his like crown of thorns. Sorry that I'm totally butchering that. I have not read the Bible. Please don't come after me for it. But yeah, it's got these thorns on it. These really cool flowers that are like almost tie-dye. They are the coolest flowers. My cat did eat some of it. So my kitchen's not aesthetic at all. It's probably one of the least aesthetic rooms in my house. My house needs to be redone, so ignore that. But this is my alocasia Frydek. I just found spider mites on it today, so that's horrible. I just washed them all off. I need to treat it now. I just got this plant 2 weeks ago. It has been in isolation the whole entire time that I've had it, so it should not be on any of my other plants, but it makes me really sad. But alocasias are known to be spider mite magnets, so I'm not surprised. So it's going to be staying in isolation. I need to find a better spot for it now that I know it has something, because it was like in the same vicinity as another one of my plants, but not close enough to give it spider mites. But yeah, now it needs to go somewhere else to like really make sure it's not going to cause a problem. Look how pretty it is though. This is this newest leaf. This plant is in solitary confinement. It's in a prison. Just kidding, plant. You're in the hospital. You're in the hospital because you're not doing okay. You have a pest. Also, look how cute this planter's pot is. This cover pot, I mean. And that is me. So these are the last of my plants. This is just another snake plant. Pretty. It's grown so much since I got it. I probably honestly have to repot it. Here's just some more pothos, just some green boys, just chilling. Some water. Another Scindapsus. I believe this is a silver lady. I don't remember. I got this from a wet stick from a friend, and she wasn't actually sure what this was. It was a surprise when it started to grow, and I was just really happy that it started to grow. This is the last plant that I have inside. I don't have that many plants anymore, but this is my Anthurium veitchii. Another one of my newer plants I got 2 weeks ago. It's putting out a new leaf already. Super exciting. Hope it's nice and big. It's very humid and it's bright up here. This is its newest leaf. You really shouldn't touch the newest leaves, I know, but sometimes I do. I love this planter as well. It's me. I wear glasses, but I think it's a really cool anthurium. It's also called the king anthurium. People say it has like little abs on it, which I can see, but it's a very hardy anthurium. It's not velvety at all, which means it should be an easier care anthurium. So that's it for my indoor plants. I'm not going to be showing you my outdoor plants today just because it's already a long enough video and my back hurts. So yeah, thank you for joining me and my dog on our little tour today. It was super fun. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining me on today's video. I really appreciate it. Please make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps me out. Okay, well, thank you. Bye.